Welcome, everyone. My name is Principal Judi Hayes, and I am the principal of Lake Canyon Elementary and have been for many years. But this year, I have also been the principal of our Bright Future Learning Academy and have been very privileged to work with our four amazing teachers who helped us to launch that program this year. And I know your students have been well served. And so I wanted to convene this parent meeting because obviously a few weeks ago, you saw the letters of intent to return to this program and this model next year. And the teachers have all received those and made their notes. But with that, we wanted to let you know that our model, as we started last year under the Assembly Bill and some California COVID-based types of mandates for all public schools, has been rescinded for the end of this school year. And so next school year, we will move forward with a little bit of change and revision, reworking to our Bright Future Learning Academy. So that's the model that I'm pleased to share with you this evening. And so let me start my slideshow, and then I'm excited to share the names of our staff that are joining us this evening. So just one moment, bear with me here. Okay, perfect. So this is just a glimpse here. I wanted to include just on our first slide for you this evening, a glimpse into just Lake Canyon Elementary with this fun photo. As you know, for those of you that have been part of our elementary model this year, your students are invited and encouraged to come onto our campus at Lake Canyon and take part in these fun types of activities. And next year with the model, we will continue that type of access. And so before we jump into an explanation of the program, I've introduced myself, Principal Judi Hayes. Also joining us this evening are our two new academy teachers. Next year, the four teachers that we have now, Mrs. Lucchese will move on to a different assignment. Mrs. Garcia will also move on, and Mr. Western and Mr. Olson were hired as temporary teachers with our district this year to help us kind of launch the program. And we hope to gain enough enrollment to look at possibly including them in our staffing again next year. But to start for next year, I'm very excited to introduce Jill Daluz and Megan Haas, and they're pictured here in your gallery of participants today. They're both longtime tenured teachers with our school district, and we've already been meeting. They've checked in with the existing teachers and are gleaning their best practices, and I'm really excited about what we're putting together for your students. Also, I think I saw our extended learning supervisor, Jennifer Collier, is with us this evening. And so if you can see her, you can give a wave, Jennifer. I'm glad you're here with us too. And Donna Whitlock, our Director of Educational Services, might jump in also. So with that, we will go right into what we're offering for your students with our Bright Future Learning Academy. And again, we had a strong program this year that was based on some California mandates. Next year, the mandates lift, and we'll look at refining the program a little bit. So the GALT Bright Future Learning Academy students will, as always, receive an innovative, caring, and meaningful personalized school experience, which promotes intrinsic engagement and motivation. And next year, we really will try to focus even more around personalization and engagement. And so what will it look like? Well, of course, as always, your child will have a highly qualified certificated teacher. We're using only standards-based California approved curriculum and also blended learning opportunities. They'll have live interaction with their teacher, access as needed to instructional assistance support. And next year, as more and more of the COVID restrictions are rescinded, they'll have more access to in-person opportunities with their peers, both the students of Lake Canyon and also their academy peers. We'll offer small group workshops, of course, personalized goal setting, assessments, progress monitoring, lots of tech support. Your students can access our physical education classes or do physical education at home. Options for next year elective coursework, so specialty classes around things like art workshops or theater or field trip types of experiences. And again, that'll be very personalized as our teachers get to know your kids and see what their interests are. And lots of enrichment opportunities, both online and in person. Access to many different extracurricular campus activities. At Lake Canyon for years, we normally run 15 to 20 high interest after school clubs all year, and things like, gosh, a whole wide range, mechanical engineering. We have a theater and talent show group going right now, lots of culinary opportunities. We have 2 full kitchens on our campus that students can access with adult supervision. So lots of fun things like that your students will be able to sign up for and participate. And also just ongoing feedback from your teachers. It will be very personalized. All of this is built around, and I like to put this slide up a lot, just our goal in our district is just to instill 21st century learning skills, things like good citizenship. In fact, our campus, Lake Canyon, was recognized a couple years ago as a California Distinguished Civic Learning School. So we have lots of familiar opportunities that are already in place for civic learning and citizenship opportunities. Growth mindset is just a part of how we do things. Creativity, lots of communication and opportunities for collaboration between parents, student, and educators. So now we're going to get into some of the changes. What will be expected of the parent and guardian? Well, we'd like you this evening to really consider your intent to return carefully, because we are moving closer to a true independent study model. And what that means is that the parent will be your child's first teacher, really. You will oversee and facilitate your child's lessons in partnership with the teachers. And so that means that the teacher will provide you a learning pathway, curriculum, but is it going to be 3 or 4 hours a day on Zoom? It's not. So that's where some of the changes are happening. And so some of the slides I'm going to go through next really are going to kind of break down with the refinements we're layering into the academy, what will be expected of parents and guardians. So that second point is really important. You will be considered your child's kind of first teacher. You're going to oversee and facilitate your child's lessons. Of course, reinforce their behavior when they're in their Zoom sessions, their work completion. Obviously, you know, as academy students that we base their attendance, that we legally report to the California Department of Education through our CalPADS reporting, not based on their time that they come to a campus, but in this model, it's actually based on their work product. And so we have to track that carefully. Also, obviously, next August, you'll be invited to come in and sign a master agreement again, which kind of spells all of this out. And we're going to offer more opportunities for orientations and parent-teacher meetings and parent-teacher trainings. We have some district curriculum coaches that we know will also offer some parent trainings. And so we realize that your role is going to be a little more hands-on, perhaps, especially if you've had an older student in our academy this year. And so we will provide the training and opportunities to make sure that you have everything you need to be equipped to do that. Also, what materials will the district provide? Well, as a California public school, obviously this is all free. There's no tuition. Your student will be provided a Chromebook. If your family does not have adequate internet access, obviously we'll provide a district hotspot, district textbooks, workbooks, curriculum, even any needed school supplies. If there's things that you need and can't procure yourself, then we will be happy to provide those. Access to the designated online learning programs. We call those our tech integration programs that will help your student with some of their learning through instructional videos. There's a lot of great programs out there. And so we are already reaching out to many different partners and vendors to find the very best mix, and also supplementary instructional materials. So you literally will be set up with a full kit of everything that you will need to provide an exemplary learning experience for your child in conjunction with the teacher's guidance. So again, what will be your child's school of attendance? Well, as I said earlier, although this is a district program, your child will kind of technically be rostered to Lake Canyon Elementary. And so it will be through our school office. I'm the principal. My amazing office staff of 5 or 6 secretaries will be there every day to serve you, to track your attendance. We have a full medical office, cafeteria. And so all of those same resources that are available to any of our district children will be available to your family as well through the Lake Canyon office. And then, of course, students in 7th and 8th grade, their home base would be McCaffrey. Okay, so how is attendance monitored? I talked a little bit about this. Students must show evidence of daily work completion. And that's the type of thing that the teachers are going to be looking at closely. You know, they have electronic dashboards, they'll use Google Classrooms, all those amazing tech integration tools. And then, of course, I know, you know, I see the academy parents come and stop by the front of the office and pick up packets. There's lots of ways that we communicate and receive work, so our teachers can do those formative assessments all through the week to see just where your child is at, and guide the parent educator on the home front on what they need to do next. Also, your participation will include a combination of virtual live meetings, evidence of online activities. So if we assign you a Zern assignment, if you're a 3rd grader, or some Lexia work, obviously teachers are going to be monitoring that closely to look for completion. But if a child is at home and they get stuck on something, that's where the parent educator comes in. And we will equip you with the tools you need to jump in and help your child. So they don't necessarily need to wait until the office hours later in the afternoon, but although those will be available as needed, just like they are this year. And so the teacher will complete a weekly engagement record, and that actually is what we use to correlate into legal attendance. And students who are not completing their assignments for full credit, and sadly this has happened a little bit this year, we do need to transition them back to in-person learning with their school of record. And so, and that would be, you know, if you came from Valley Oaks, you're going to bump back to Valley Oaks or Greer. There's been a few cases where the home campus has been full and we've had to find an alternate placement, but I'd say 90% of the time or more, we've been able, if needed, to place a student back to the campus that they came from. And so I wanted to throw this in because I know this is a unique learning model that you're doing with the Academy, but research does show that students with engaged families like yours actually exhibit faster rates of literacy acquisition. Generally, they earn higher grades and test scores. They adapt better to school and attend more regularly. So if this is a model that really works for your child, that's why we want to offer it. If you have a child that maybe isn't a big fan of coming to school every day for 6 hours a day, or has had some social difficulties, or just there's such a wide variety of things. We even have some kids that are involved in some high-level sports or gymnastics, and this gives them the time that they need to do their practice but still get their work done. So there's a wide variety of reasons families make that big decision to move to an independent study model. And with this program, we just want to partner with your family to give you those educational options. Research shows that when the model works, kids actually have better social skills and behavior and graduate and go on to higher education. So you can see there's lots of research-based positives when a student is in independent study with an engaged family and they're working together with the school system. And so to kind of break it down further, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of grade levels. So the Bright Future Learning Academy in the 22-23 school year is going to be a model of home study for our younger grades and truer independent study for our older grades. So what I mean by that is for our students in kinder through grade 3. And I can let you know that our school system has made the big decision that next year we will not serve transitional kinder students. You may have seen that all of the TK is moving over to special programming housed only at the Fairsite campus. And so we're going to let them build some excellent programming, and perhaps in the future, we will start adopting some of what they're piloting over there. So next year, home study, kinder through grade 3. And that means that parents are going to be empowered to take a very active educational role. With this model for our younger students, and this is because these are emergent readers, it truly is the parent on the front lines. It's that model, that true homeschool model where the parent is with the child at the kitchen table, sitting beside them, guiding them, doing their work, taking the advice and the tips and maybe the presented academic pathway for a week or two that the supervising teacher has laid out, and they're taking the true lead. It's not going to be a daily Zoom for 2 or 3 hours where they go to their level reading groups every day. So we've seen a lot of that this year with the model, and that's where it is going to change a bit. And so because the model is changing, we're actually looking at and working with some partner charter schools out there to see what are some state approved curriculum that they're using to teach kids to read that and maybe is a little more conducive than our SIPS program that requires a lot of teacher-driven instruction. So that will be one big change next year in kinder through grade 3. Supported home study allows families to explore their unique interests through lessons, activities, classes, and study trips. You can choose how your child learns and are actively involved in the lesson planning. And this is important, the day-to-day instruction. It's the parent that will correct the daily practice assignments. And you get to do this on a schedule that works best for your family. And so it truly is a homeschool independent model. Embedded in the model, though, like I said earlier, there'll be lots of opportunities to come in, maybe for some learning workshops, different enrichment activities, art classes. And so your teacher will get to know you and your child and really help you build a true hybrid type of program. Lessons can be conducted at home with this model, a park, a library, a doctor's office, or even on vacation. This type of schooling really allows families to spend more time together, growing, learning, bonding. It lets students pursue their individual interests with hybrid access to the Lake Canyon campus. And now on to our older students, the 4th through 8th graders. What we're doing next year is we're truly moving to more virtual-based learning. So it's a virtual independent study model. Other school districts or charter schools call this distance online, internet-based, or web-based learning. And this means that students will use a computer and internet to access their classes and interact with their teachers and classmates. In today's world, we know that especially for our older students, they're used to getting a lot of their information from the web and interacting with their peers and teachers online. And so this type of learning actually we're finding is very natural for our older students. And so the 4th through 8th graders also, just like our younger learners, will still have access to in-person services. And so with this model, they're going to have synchronous and asynchronous online learning options. So there will be some, some Zoom workshops, a 5th grade, twice a week math session, some of that sort of thing. Although we don't have set schedules because we want to get to know our students first and see what their needs and interests are. Small group workshops in person. Now that some of these, the COVID restrictions have lifted more and more, we're looking to get the students back onto campus a little bit more with specialized workshops and opportunities. Our teachers, of course, will have their daily office hours, just like you see now. Lots of enrichment opportunities. We're already looking at really awesome field trips. And then, of course, hybrid access for our middle school students to McCaffrey Middle School. So we can truly, with the 7th and 8th graders, build a true hybrid type of, if they want to come to campus every day for just math, a program like that. And so, so that kind of, in a nutshell, lets you know what we're looking at for the changes to the academy. My last slide here is that I'm excited that our district is enlarging all of the extended learning opportunities, both for students and even for parents. And so Jennifer Collier, if you're out there, if you want to speak a little bit to this slide and some of these neat opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. So along with what Principal Hayes has been discussing about, supporting families and making sure they have all the resources possible to, encourage learning at home, and also getting to know and build those positive relationships at home. And one of the things, as a Gallup certified strengths coach, I really love the opportunity of learning about those things that we're naturally best at. And for our kiddos, when it's, kinder through third grade, it's strength spotting, where we're taking a look at some of those things that are occurring over and over, and we can see how our students are really successful in those areas. And then also after 4th grade, they get an opportunity to take Strengths Explorer, where they actually find out what their top 3 strengths are. And in these parent workshops, parents will get to take a Strengths Quest assessment and find out what their top 5 strengths are. And it's very just exciting and wonderful to see these skills and talents and strengths that each of us has that we use to learn and grow. And so I look forward to meeting all of you and having these opportunities, these workshops throughout the year. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to chatting with you and meeting you in the future. If anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Right, and let me jump in also, and I'm going to stop sharing. So that was our quick slideshow, and just to kind of highlight the changes in a nutshell, we're just really moving closer to that true homeschool independent study model. And we're excited because we know there's a lot of families out there that the 6-7 hours a day with your child on a traditional school campus just doesn't work for your family. So we want to offer those new opportunities for you and equip you to do that, to pull it off successfully. So as Jennifer Collier said, the floor is now open. I see our 2 teachers are here too, and we're eager to answer any questions you have. And if you have a question, you can unmute yourselves.
I have a question. I'm all for the all teaching on our own. How does reading and math? Are they going to be still doing testing? Are they going to meet together at all for reading and math groups? Or is it all just going to be parent led?
It's actually, that's a great question. It's going to be a hybrid of both. And so what the model's not going to be is 3 or 4 hours a day of Zoom where all the 4th graders jump on and have their daily math class, because we will set you up with the resources that you need where your child will learn at home with you, the parent educator. But in addition, we value peers getting together. And so we will, yes, there will be assessments. As a California public school, we have our district and state assessments. And then of course, assessments drive our instruction. So, and it really will be up to the teachers and the grade level how they decide. They might invite you to come in for an assessment with other peers. Perhaps they'll set you up to do your own assessment, or we'll look at some online assessment tools. There's a wide variety of tools out there, and those are the types of things that we're looking at now. How can we maximize the products that are out there? And our superintendent and director of ed services has kind of given us the freedom to really look at other tools besides just those that are currently being used in our district. So we're reaching out to lots of neighboring educators to get their best practices on that.
Okay. And then one more question. I've homeschooled my older 2, who one's graduated, one will be graduating next year. Are we going to get like a parent handbook guide so like when we're grading papers that we know we're grading them correctly? I mean, he's only going second, so that's not a big deal, but just
absolutely
correctly.
If a teacher sets you up with, okay, parent, you need to grade these 5 assignments, and of course they'll provide you with an answer key, some education, some resources, so we know that you're fulfilling your role proficiently and as you need to.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one question also.
Mm-hmm.
The program that you're going to be transitioning to, does it log hours that he has to meet a certain amount of hours of logged work, or just complete the day's assignments? Like if he completes all the assignments in like 2 hours, but the system's wanting him to log 4 hours of work. That's what I'm kind of trying to figure out.
Right.
I think meaning more, is it not with like a Zoom, but are they going to have to log in and do their lessons online? So he's sitting in a chair at a computer all day, or is it like handwritten book work so that he can still get up and be busy when he needs to move?
Right. Gosh, these are great questions. And I appreciate it. It sounds like you've had a homeschool journey with older siblings, so you understand the model. It's, it's actually a combination of the both. There are some tools, if a teacher decides that there's a tech integration tool that is based on a timer, for example, a student would reach the highest proficiency if they spend 20 minutes a day in this particular online program, then I can see a teacher holding you accountable for that very thing. Sadly, some of what we've seen is we'll make assignments in something like Khan Academy, for example, and a student might jump on for 5 minutes and we see they're not growing when we test them, and we go back to mom and say, you know what, he really should have spent 30 minutes and it was 3 or 4 minutes. And so it's all just part of, as a certificated teacher guiding your child's learning, they know what is going to have the most impact. But in this program, we also want to work with the families. That's the whole kind of overarching principle, and the whole thing is this is meant to be flexible for the families and for the supervising teacher. So we want to honor your family time, and if that's what's really great about the home study model.
Okay, sounds like Lexia and Zern, so it's not bad on our.
That those old standards, but there's a lot of other great tools out there too that we're looking at, and so we'll see what's best for your child.
Thank you.
Great. All righty. Other questions?
So my son, he's in 6th grade right now. He'll be going into 7th. Will there be more information about what that particular program looks like in terms of its differences from moving from elementary to middle or junior high, I mean, and then also, okay. And then how is the hybrid portion of that structured? Is he able to decide which math classes he'd like to attend, or excuse me, which classes he'd like to attend on campus? Or
actually we're doing a little bit of that now, yes, with our middle school students. And so they can't necessarily say, I only want to go to Mr. Jones' 10 o'clock class. It's, obviously with enrollment and but he will have access. If he says, I would like to attend an on-campus math class, then certainly we can make that happen. And so we can ask for a preferred teacher, of course, but can't guarantee that. For our middle school students, any of the work that they're doing at home is truly going to be an independent study model. Obviously, if a child is struggling with their grade level content or needs added intervention, then as a California public school, we're going to provide resources to make that happen. And that's the personalized aspect of it. But, our goal is to really personalize this. And what that means is you'll have that initial one-on-one meeting with the teacher, the student, and the parent, and kind of create a wish list of this is what works best for our family, and the teacher will align that with the resources we have and the access we have, and truly develop a personalized hybrid type of schedule. So, okay. And then I saw a question in the chat. Let me go back to it. Who will be the teachers for 7th and 8th? Right now, we're looking at, with this independent study model, we're starting with 2 teachers, and they're here. Mrs. Daluz will have our K through 3rd grade, our primary students, and then our 4th through 8th graders will be with Mrs. Haas.
And Judi, I wanted to add on to your comments about the personalized learning. And I know there are a lot of questions about if my child needs help. And I think one of the great things about this program is that as the teachers, we're going to work with you, the parent and the student, to figure out what do you need. And then if we see that there are multiple students that have the same need, we can form groups to come on campus. We can form Zoom sessions so that we can focus on what you need and what would best help you and your student.
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate you jumping in. And this is Megan Haas, and then Jill Daluz. Do you want to do a greeting also and add anything about primary?
Good evening. I'm excited about next year. I'm excited to meet your children and form connection and community for them. And I really want them to feel that they're part of the Lake Canyon family. And that's one reason I'm so excited about next year's program, because it really is a blended learning model. And so it won't just be homeschool, they're at home and that's it. I mean, we're going to be providing opportunities for them to explore their passions and their desires, and just having, you know, opportunity to go on field trips and just do many different things. And Ms. Haas and I have been piloting a mentoring program at Valley Oaks this year. And so what we've been doing in that program is just that, building connection and community for the children. And so we're really excited that we get to continue with that and build on that, and work with Ms. Collier too with the expanded learning. So we both met, Ms. Haas and I are very excited.
Great, thank you. And I see we have another question in the chat. The question is, will parents have direct input into the grading of their children and their work? And my answer to that would be yes. This is a home study, independent study model. And so, parent will be alongside the supervising teacher on the front lines. And obviously as their guide and parent educator on the home front, your input will be valuable in the assessment process of your students. Obviously, there's going to be things like assessments and state-driven, district-driven assessments. You know, those types of things, obviously, it's a little bit harder to have discretion on, but daily assignments, things like that's what we look forward to. If your child isn't understanding the steps of long division, for example, and you know exactly the reason why, we value your input to the supervising teacher to help us kind of unpack how we can probe and give deeper help and intervention. So I hope that's an example that makes sense. Okay. And then let's see, something else in the chat. What are some of the activities and mechanisms that you will employ to build community? I'm going to turn that over to our two teachers, because I know they've been thinking about engagement and inclusion and supporting students a lot around this big area. So go ahead, Megan and Jill.
I'm sorry, I was rereading the question. To build community. We have a lot of ideas for team building activities, which include hands-on activities. Some of the things we've done this year are the students had to come together and they had to build boats and then float the boats. So they had to come up with what worked to float, what didn't. They got to try different things out, and the whole time they were working with their peers to talk about what worked, what didn't work. And then we had a race at the end. That was one team building activity we did. We're focusing on social emotional learning, where we're using second steps, which is part of the curriculum in the district. And we try to do activities to build inclusion and to help the kids to be able to build relationships with each other, especially when they're moving from grade to grade, so that they can help build those relationships as they grow.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's an awesome answer. And anything to add, Mrs. Daluz?
The beautiful thing about what Ms. Haas and I have been able to do this year is it's not just confined to one grade level. And so that's where the blended learning model comes in. And I'm really excited about that. So with the group that we have this year, we have 4th through 6th graders, and they're not segregated into grade level. It's been really interesting and delightful to see how they've been able to form connections across grade level and learn from each other. It's interesting when you see a 4th grader, a 6th grader helping a 4th grader, or a 4th grader helping a 5th grader, and we all have wonderful ideas. Some of the things that, we would be looking at would be possibly martial arts workshop, or we did Japanese drumming this year. We had a visiting art teacher And I know that Miss Collier has many, many more ideas of things that we can do that will interest your children. And plus they'll also be able to come on campus and be part of the what do you call them, Miss Hayes?
We have lots and lots, and I see Mrs. Gold just dropped into the chat some examples of what her children access. Lots of enrichment opportunities and after-school clubs in our makerspace, and just across many, many different interest areas. We have a sports coach that comes in every day at recess and runs intramural sports. We have a chess coach after school twice a week. So many exciting opportunities, and of course our Academy kids will have access to all of that. Okay, so thank you. And so I see there was one other question in regard to tech integration tools, and perhaps creating a forum where parents can access raw scores and do a deep dive into some of the data results normally that our certificated teachers do in their analysis and their professional learning community time. And my answer to that would be, I think that would be a benefit. And so we will work to continue to refine the model. This year, as you know, the program, like every other public school district in California, was thrown together quickly. We were under a mandate from our state to put something together for access because of COVID and some of the safety considerations. So now that we've lived it for a year, we're taking kind of that analysis of what went well, what do we need to refine. I've spent some time with the 4 existing teachers and did that type of brainstorm. And so, so thank you to parents with these great comments and questions.